and you're on the cloud. So what we're doing today is what would you do? Okay. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. I'm gonna challenge you a little bit, I hope. And I hope that we're all going to learn a thing or two from each other. So I'm gonna give you a scenario. I'm gonna lay you out a scenario. These are some of the most common scenarios that come up transactionally. Okay. And some of them, it's most of these are going to be from the buyer's agent's perspective. Okay, just because it seems like more situations come up in that relationship than they do in the other relationship. And this is you're a buyer's agent and you're dealing with a listing agent in most of these scenarios. All right, most of these scenarios. So here we go. What would you do, or what do you do with the agent that won't return phone calls, texts, or emails? Your buyer loves a property. Here's the situation. Your buyer loves a property. You've called 3 times, texted 5 times, emailed once, and received no response. There's an offer deadline posted in the MLS and it is approaching. You have questions. Okay. You can't write an offer because your client won't let you write the offer until you answer some questions. You've got 24 hours to submit the offer and you've tried all those times to get a hold of them and nobody's calling you back. What do you do? Somebody tell me what you're going to do. I don't want to call names. You guys can just popcorn and take turns. If it doesn't work, I'll start calling on you like in school. So tell me what you do. Who wants to be brave and start?
Seems like call, text, email,
You've done that?
and so I don't know. Look it up on MLS. Find out where his office is.
Look it up on
I'm
MLS.
going over there. I'm going over.
Find out if he's got an office. Find out if there is an
Tell his
office. Find
broker.
out if you can show up in physical form and bang on a door. I like that. Somebody give me something else. Other ideas. How long are you going to wait before you reach out to the broker? Right? Let me complicate it for you. What if the agent works at EXP? There is no broker. How many of you would submit an offer anyways based on with limited information?
Think I would.
Johnny would submit with limited information. Okay. Michael nods. He says he would submit. I say I would submit. Okay.
Phew.
What else are you going to do? You're going to document all of the times and all of the ways that you tried to contact him. You're going to ask for a confirmation when you send the offer. Okay, let me back up. I think you got to send the offer no matter what, right? If you got a deadline, you got an offer deadline, and you got questions that can't get answered, and you're not getting through, you can't get through to the guy, okay? You got to submit it by the deadline, right? You got to submit it. But you got contingencies to protect you so that if your offer is selected and you haven't had questions that have been answered, you're okay. Sometimes, sometimes it's not the listing agent's fault. And I'll speak from experience, very recent experience. Okay. I understand that you have called me, texted me, and emailed me. Okay. I understand that. I understand that the offer is due by Monday at noon and that you are calling, texting me, and emailing me at Monday at 9 o'clock because you want to write an offer because you just got back from the open house or whatever, right? I understand that. What you probably don't understand is that you're one of 40 people that I'm trying to respond to, and I got to take my dog to the vet. All right. So it's not always malicious. Oh, that damn listing agent this. Oh, that damn listing agent that. Maybe he's trying to get to you in the queue, but there's only one of them, and you can only talk to one person on the phone at a time, right? That's just the way that it is. Submit your offer, put your best foot forward, reserve yourself some contingencies, stay after the person, try all the channels, ask for a confirmation that your offer was received, let them know that you tried to get a hold of them. Don't be a jerk, all right? Until they earn it. Don't be a jerk, okay? If they earn it, like I did over the weekend, there was an agent that started calling me on Saturday, and I got lost in all the voicemails, text messages, and emails from everybody else, and I never called them back. I never responded to their text. I never responded to their email. I thought I did. I didn't do it. Okay. Well, I had a little something coming to me, and I deserved it. All right. But guess what they did? There was an offer before the deadline with a big, long, scathing email about, the fact that I hadn't returned their calls or anything else. Okay. You got a buyer, you get under contract. Okay. Suddenly, all this material information comes up that wasn't disclosed before he wrote the offer. Okay. Let's let's make it real, like overly simple. Your offer gets accepted, and this could have easily happened to me too. Your offer gets accepted, you get into contract, everybody's excited, you're getting the escrow emails going, you're getting all this going, and the listing agent says, "Oh, by the way, I just found out that when it rains, sometimes there's a stream of water that goes through the garage, but it goes out the garage door. It starts in the back, it goes all the way through the garage, and it goes out the garage door." Okay. I sorry, I forgot to tell you. What do you do? Come on. Come on. The question at the end, I know I'm going to get you guys all talking. The question at the end's a doozy. Okay. What do you do when you find out something? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you about this. And now here you are. Let me complicate it for you. Maybe this will get your juices running a little bit more. The listing agent posted in advance all of the inspections, all of the disclosure, okay? The seller property questionnaire, transfer disclosure statement, all that stuff, okay? And asked that you have an acknowledgement of all of the disclosure and all of the inspections submitted with your offer and a release from those findings, okay? And you did that. And then the listing agent said, "Oh, by the way, I just found this out, but there's this water thing going on. What are you going to do?" What's the first thing you're going to do?
In writing.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry, I've been making a lot of noise. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My thought is, wouldn't you go to the listing agent and say, are they going to fix it?
Good point. Good question. Okay. What else? What's the very first thing you're going to do, Michael? What's the very first thing you're going to do?
Yeah, disclosure. You need disclosure for that, right? You need to put it in writing, right?
Yep. Okay. Need the disclosure amended, need to have it in writing, right? Need to understand the scope of the problem in a little bit more detail, right? Chad, can you tell me what the first thing you're going to do is?
Well, they're all fired.
They're all fired.
They're all fired.
They're all fired. Who are you
I
going to, who
per,
are you firing exactly?
First thing I do is buy a kayak, and
I don't
I
know if
would,
it's that much water, but yeah, okay.
yeah, I would. Well, I got background noise, so I'll apologize. That's why I'm
You're
muting.
good.
But the the original question was, we can't get a hold of them if we called, emailed, texted, etc. Then,
No, Chad, hold on. These aren't compounding situations. So this agent,
oh, okay.
this is a new situation. This agent you're talking to, this agent said, "Hey, I just found this out." Yep,
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, that happened on my last listing, a similar scenario. But I
mine
agree
too.
with, yeah, I would agree with Michael as, like, put it in writing that you're accepting known findings as is on all written reports. So we can accept everything that's been posted with the listing thus far, and it remains open during discovery to find out new things. And I would even ask the listing agent for the seller side to pay for the inspection on the root of the problem for the flooding.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep, because seller didn't disclose. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point. Dude, guys, don't forget the first thing that you're going to do is, because your buyer's over there like all excited, you got to tell your buyer,
Mm.
right? Hey, something came up. We don't know the details yet. This is the gist of it. I'm digging into it for you. I'm going to find out what's going on, right? Then, yeah, absolutely. I think you got to try and get more information. Like me telling you on the phone or via text message is not going to work, right? You need to have some kind of amendment to the disclosure or a new disclosure or whatever. And
Yeah, it would be an email for me. It would be an email to that agent requesting an inspection in writing, and that would be going to the sky slope and documented and everything too,
exactly.
with
And
a
here's
deadline.
and here's where a lot of people get hung up and they get freaked out. And this happened to me, okay? They get freaked out because when I told, we didn't have an accepted offer, but we were in counter. And I said, "Hey, I got to tell you this, like I just found this out. I got to tell you this." And the agent really kind of lost their stuff for a minute. Like, "Hey, you told us we had to sign off on everything and now you're doing this and blah 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 blah." That doesn't matter. Remember that. That doesn't matter because you're only signing off on what you had to review at the time that you wrote the offer. This finding wasn't disclosed or wasn't apparent in all of that paperwork. So it doesn't matter. It's still fair game, right? This is why even if we write an offer where we have removed contingencies for all of the findings that were provided in advance, we're still reserving a very short, in most cases, inspection period to try, as Chad mentioned, to see if there's any new findings or to see if there's any additional inspecting we want to do, right? So those are all good answers. Always do it in writing. Chad brings up a good point. As soon as that comes across to you verbally or through a text message or any other way except for email, get into the email and start handling the process through email, right? CC the sky slope document file, get it on paper. Email is the only thing that we really have that creates a chain of history and a chain of evidence that's easy to navigate, right? And I know that the whole world likes texting, okay? But it's fine if everything's okay, but texting is garbage if you have a problem. What are you going to do? Take 4,700 screenshots and upload them to Skyslope and then hope to be able to figure out what the hell you were talking about or what order they go in if you need to? It's a bad idea, right? Email is wonderful. And by the way, email carries the same validity as contract in a dispute. It's like black and white, irrefutable evidence. Email is. It's the only one. Okay. All right. Next scenario. Clear out your memory breaks. You show a house. Buyer likes it. Okay. Call the agent. Ask him what's going on in the house. Agent gives you the, oh my God, we have 5 offers already in hand. And if you want to get in on this, I'm going to need your highest and best offer in an hour. I didn't do that, by the way. I would never do that. To set the record straight, I don't treat other agents that way. Even if they've earned it, I don't do that. But it happens, and it happens a lot. What are you going to do?
You
Let's
gotta,
talk about what you're going to do with your client. What are you going to do?
gotta get into it. Right? You gotta just act as soon as
Yeah.
you can, and look at the numbers and let them know that there's they have some competition, and do find out if they want to even get into something that where they have to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk to the client. If they want to submit, then submit. As long as it's still active and
Mm-hmm.
not pending, then you can submit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Good.
caveat, though, I've seen a lot of them. If you've committed in contract to present all offers at a certain date and time, I can see a listing agent wanting to respect that, and so that could be the 1 hour deadline.
It's possible. Yeah, absolutely possible. And you want to be, if you're in the listing agent position, you want to be fair to all parties, including the parties that have already submitted, right? Like if you posted that offers are due Monday by noon, and agent number 4 missed the kid's soccer game and stayed up late to write the offer and drive it down to the client who wouldn't do DocuSign and get it hand signed and then get it returned to you by the deadline. You do want to respect their time and their effort as well. So I agree with that.
Mhm.
How are you going to approach it with your client? What's the first thing you're going to say to your client after you get off the phone and the agent says to you, we have 5, 6, 7, whatever, pick a number. We have all these offers in hand. We're getting ready to go to counter. If you want to get in here, I need your highest and best offer in an hour. What's the first thing that you're going to say to your client?
First thing I tell them is I relay the message. This is what the agent is. This is what the seller is asking for. Now let's talk about what you want to do.
Good,
Yes,
right?
agreed.
Good. This is where a lot of inexperienced buyers agents really blow it. Okay? They blow it hard because, and I think it comes from a good place sometimes, most of the time. It comes from a good place. You know your client likes the house. You want to try and get the house for them. So you jump back to them and say, hey, I just got a phone listing agent. They got 5 offers. They need our highest and best offer in an hour. We got to hustle. We got to get this done. Right? Depending on the client, there's different reactions. But for most people, I think that are in the buyer's position, unless you know them really, really well, and you've already been through this scenario and lost a bunch of times, they're not going to like that. They're going to feel like you're trying to jam something down their throat that costs $650,000, and that's not a pleasant feeling, right? So you've got to do what Chad and Joni are saying. You've got to relay the message, but you've got to let them know, I'm on your side here. If this doesn't feel right, we're out of here. Okay, we don't need to do this. We don't. Okay. But if you want to, if this is really the one and you want to, then I'm your guy. I will get you through this big process in a short amount of time and we'll get submitted. Okay. But one of my most famous things that I use with buyers, and I have used with buyers in all kinds of different scenarios, and I think it's why they end up liking me and they're my client for life, is I am not afraid to tell that client, This is the situation. This is what I was told. I think we should be out of here. Right? Or this is the situation. This is what we found. This is what I was told. I think we need to write a cancellation. I think we need to be done. Okay? It's the complete opposite of what they expect to come out of my mouth. Right? They're expecting me and most real estate agents to be like, well, it's okay. We're going to get it done. We'll find a way. It's not that big a deal. We're moving on. You really like the house. It's not going to be a problem. I got a guy that can look at that. I got a guy that can fix that after closing. No. My approach is if it's too stressful, if it's not perfect, if it's scary, let's just quit and go find another one. Let's be done. We're out of here. 95% of the time, if not more, they go, whoa, 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 Damien, it's not that big a deal. Okay? It's not that big a deal. How are we going to work through this? I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's do it this way. Right? But I make clear to them, I'm not going to shove anything down your throat. If I relayed that to a client, 90%, there's some clients that I'd be like, hey, hurry up, we got to go. Come on, right. DocuSign. Most clients, if I got that kind of response from a listing agent, I would tell them, hey, listing agent says they have 5-hour offers. We have to have our highest and best offer submitted and into him in an hour. I don't think this is the one. I don't think we want to get involved in that. Right? You know what they'll tell me? Oh, yeah, we do. Oh, yeah, we do. Yes, we do, Damien. Are you too busy? I mean, are we going to be able to do it? Yep, no, we'll do it. Right? But you got to let them know I'm on your side. I've got your back. My fiduciary responsibility to you, I take seriously, and I'm not going to let you get into that. All right. This is going to be a fun one. You've all had this one. The agent who creates drama instead of solutions. Okay? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. My
Let
last transaction.
Yeah, no, exactly, Chad. Yes, that one, that guy. Yeah. So let's put it in the form of inspections. Okay. You got a buyer, you go and do a battery of inspections. You do some inspections. You find some stuff. Let's make it a fairly big ticket item. But not enormous. You find
Partially clogged sewer line.
that. Yes. You find a partially clogged sewer lateral that's under the driveway. Okay. The inspector told you it's going to be $8,000. Okay. $8,000. You know what the agent does. Oh, no, your inspector's full of crap. And you know what? We're not going to participate in that. And you know what? We had a bunch of other people that were interested in the house. And, we're not going to be strong armed. And you're playing games. And my client's going to freak out. And, my client's not going to give you anything. I don't even know why you would ask. And you need to release your inspection contingency. Something like that. What do you do?
Send a request for repairs.
Michael, Michael just sends a request for repair. Here you go.
Fix it, Dano.
Yeah, fix it, Dano. Jess, what were you going to say? You were going to say something. Yeah, you were. And then your dad jumped on you.
I said the exact same thing as him in sync at the same time.
Oh, you guys were in
Request for
sync. The Jensens don't want to talk about it. Here's the request for repair. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, ultimately, yes, but I think that there's some moves that we can make before we press send on the email button that could help. Give me some talk tracks here.
Okay, well, I know what you do.
Okay, what do I do?
You tell the agent what to do.
Yes, I do. But I do that in a very specific way, right? So here's what I do. Okay. I don't argue with him. I let him blow up and freak out and everything else. Let him throw a complete fit, right? And then I say, and this, let's imagine this is on the phone. And I say, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go talk to my buyer and see where they land on all this. It might be a good idea for you to bring up the inspection findings to your seller and just see where they land on this. And you and I'll get back together a little later and we'll have a conversation about it. Click and click, right? Then I send an email. And the email says something like this. I'm as surprised and disappointed as you are. Nobody anticipated this finding to come up. There's no way for anybody to know that this was going to be an issue, especially your seller. It's nobody's fault. You've got to understand that this is a sizable repair that's a health and safety item that somebody's going to have to address at some point. We don't want anything unreasonable. We just want the situation resolved. We're not asking for anything else beyond that. I would hate for us to not find agreement and have your seller have to go back to market and disclose these findings and lower his price to accommodate for it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm sure that we can find a way to meet in the middle of an agreement on this. My clients remain fully committed to the property and they love the house. They just want to seek a resolution that's fair for everybody. And I do that all in email. Do you know why I do it all in email?
Hard to talk back to an email. It's hard to interrupt.
Yes, there's a better reason though. The last sentence says, please feel free to forward this email to your client so that they fully understand the position of my client, the buyers. Right? So I do a really, really good job on that email so that the listing agent doesn't have to do their job. All they have to do is forward it. I'll do their job for them. Okay? Does it work every time? No. Does it work a high percentage of the time? Yeah, it does. Because I don't trust anybody to convey my words to their client, right? I don't trust them to do that. Okay. What else? Anybody else got an idea or a comment on how you deal with these very dramatic folk? Chad,
I think it's
give them a little tidbit of what you were dealing with.
um oh yeah. Well, I was just gonna chime in and say, yeah, the email also for me, just 'cause if I get it from the other side on the listing side, if I get it in writing in an email, it just carries more weight.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that if the other agent is telling me in writing in email that their buyers are still interested, or if I represent the buyer, I'm willing to put it in writing and stand by it. It means something different than just a casual conversation or even a text message and say, yeah, we want it, but.
I
So I
agree.
think to me, it carries more weight. Maybe I'm old school, but.
No, I agree. I think that it's 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 the current time's answer to a handwritten letter, and I think you're right. I think it carries more weight and I think it means more.
Yeah. So for me, on to your current question, what happened to me is I was on the other side of it. I was on the listing side of the property, and the buying agent who had who was already becoming non-responsive on certain things. He has missed his disclosure deadline, missed his first release of contingencies, and then comes up with a sewer lateral issue. So underneath, there was a flat spot and there was a pool of water, which was completely clear.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a clog, but there was a pool of water because it flattened out on the line.
A belly.
Yeah, had a belly, blister, lateral, whatever we want to call it. But It just had some water in there. So he got a got the inspection out. He had sent me the inspection, did not include all of the information on the inspection for the repair, left out those pages, and then sent me the replacement estimate for an entire new sewer line for $15,000 and asked for a $15,000 additional request for repair.
Credit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's like, but you don't have to actually fix the problem. Just put it towards my buyer's closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like freaking numbnuts scalping every opportunity he can. Is like, if you're really concerned, then you get the repair done and let's talk about it. But he wasn't. He wanted full price applied to the buyer's closing costs. So my response was, well, wait a second. Let's set the sewer line aside. Do we have a problem we need to discuss on your client's qualification process? You miss the disclosures. You miss the first contingency release. And now I'm waiting for CR2. It's due tomorrow. And you're asking for $15,000 for its closing. Do we have a problem?
Yep.
And he didn't like that.
Well, he didn't like it because you handled it pragmatically and worked your way through it, all of those issues, including finding out what the repair cost was for the sewer line, not just the replacement costs, and negotiating something that was fair for all parties. In the end, you nailed it. You did a great job. Absolutely great job with an absolutely drama-filled agent. Okay.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
I've got one more.
Yeah.
One more, and then I've got the doozy. All right, so let's do this one first, and then we'll do the doozy. Okay? What do you do when you're dealing with the agent that doesn't know the contract, doesn't understand the contractual language and flow of a contract? Like with Chad, doesn't adhere to the contingency guidelines. A seller's agent that doesn't understand disclosure requirements from the seller. A seller's agent that requests that you take any kind of action that's not within the contract, like additional deposits or something like that. How do you deal with an agent that doesn't know the contract and just kind of flies willy-nilly through the process, asking for all kinds of stupid stuff, calling you out on deadlines that don't exist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? How do you deal with that?
Try to educate them first.
You got to,
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with a caveat, Michael. You educate them politely and kindly as coworkers in the industry at first. And then if it becomes a problem, then you educate them with a little attitude.
Mm-hmm. And when we say educate them, what are we really saying? I'm guessing we're referring to the document, right? Like, no, I'm sorry. As per, the contract in 3A2E, the contingency removal for inspections is not due until Wednesday, right? The contingency removal for appraisal is not due until Thursday. There's no reason in my mind that we aren't going to make those dates, but since we aren't there yet, we won't be releasing those contingencies, right? There is no call for an additional deposit within the contract, right? Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You have a buyer's agent that calls you and says, I just got the keys out of the lockbox from a buyer and we went in the house and it's not clean. It's supposed to be clean. Does anybody know
For a showing?
Does anybody know what the contract says about the house being clean?
For a showing or like for a VP?
VP. No, no. They've closed
Okay.
escrow. They've closed escrow. They're getting the keys because they closed. They got the thing from title that said we're on record. They went and got the keys. They went in the house. They're all excited, and the agent calls you and tells you they're crying and they're upset because the house isn't clean.
Yeah. Well, did they meet their deadline for the VP and have their walkthrough?
Hmm.
Are we doing the buyer or the seller? Which side are we on?
We're the seller.
We're the seller. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, well, did you get your poop in a group and get your walkthrough done on time, or did you
Yeah,
wait
but
until the day
we
of closing like mine did?
no, we did. We did our walkthrough, but there's still some boxes there, and you know, we knew they were almost out, and there was no real damage or anything. Nothing was missing, but you know, the seller is supposed to clean the house. The house is supposed to be professionally cleaned, and it's not cleaned.
Does it
This
say it
happens.
has to be spotless with no dust and no marks of humans in the contract?
No.
Jess, what did you
Well,
say?
not unless you put it in there for the buyer side, which I had a guy try to do that too. He said that he wanted it professionally cleaned with each industry, a professional flooring cleaner, a professional house cleaner, and a professional something else cleaner. And he wants receipts submitted, paid invoices submitted to him in DocuSign.
Somebody tell me what the contract says about clean. Anybody know? Nobody knows?
Mm-mm.
No, not exactly, but it does say that.
No, here, let me tell you what it says. No debris, no personal property, broom swept condition. That's what it says. So if there is a house that has no personal property remaining, no debris remaining, and it's been broom swept, meaning they ran a broom across the countertops, they ran a broom through the empty cabinets, and they ran a broom across all the floors when all that was done, and scooped it up in a dustpan and threw it out in the front yard, it's compliant. Okay? It's compliant. Now let me give you a cheat.
Yeah.
Okay? Let me give you a
However,
cheat.
one could argue that dust bunnies and bits of paper and gum wrappers is debris. So,
Well, it can't have, you're not going to have any dust bunnies if it's broom swept. You're not going to have any.
yeah, or vacuumed. Yeah.
Or bits of paper. You're not going to have that. So let me give you a cheat. If you're representing a buyer, okay, and you're going to have a request for repair because you always do. All right? You always have a request for repair. Just throw in there you'd like the house professionally cleaned before closing. Okay? Just throw it in. All right? They'll breeze right by it through that process, and then it'll probably be professionally cleaned. And if it's not professionally cleaned, then you have recourse. Okay? Because if you don't do that, you have no recourse. If you're going to rep a seller, then in part of your presentation, if it's a vacant house, okay, I tell them I want it professionally cleaned before it hits the market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want it, I want it scrubbed. I want cabinets cleaned off. I want the inside of the cabinets cleaned out. I want the appliances done. I want the baseboards and the door casings done. I want the doors wiped down. I want the windows cleaned. I want it done. Right? All of it done. And I tell them I need that done because it'll show better. Okay. Then I don't ever have to worry about that bit at closing where they're like, it's not clean. Well, hell yeah, it is. The only person that's been in it is you, since I did have it professionally cleaned. Okay. If you've got a seller in an occupied house and they're going to be living there until it's time to close escrow and they move, prime them and let them know as part of your listing agreement meeting, look, when you get your stuff out of here, please run a cleaning crew through it. If you don't have access to anybody, I've got one. Let's get it cleaned. It will solve a lot of problems later. And they'll do it. Okay? They'll do it. You can even throw in, look, the contract doesn't require it, but it's the right thing to do. If you were moving into a house that you just bought, wouldn't you want it to be clean? They'll do it. All right. So address it, because if you don't, if you haven't been there yet as a buyer's agent, when they don't think the house is clean and they get pissed off and you've already closed escrow, that is a really uncomfortable feeling. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to end up paying my cleaning crew to go in and clean it, and it's going to cost you like $600. Okay? Because it was the only thing that is going to satisfy your client and get you a referral later. All right? So take advantage. Questions on that or thoughts on that? Comments on that? You guys are about ready for the big dog.
My thought and comment is that I haven't the real rub that I've mostly seen is not whether it's not clean versus professionally clean, is whether it's cleaned, but is it cleaned by a licensed professional, or is it cleaned by a friend, neighbor, family member, or the family or the sellers as a whole?
Tell me
Because
more about that.
they can so the sellers say, well, I'm not going to pay anybody. I keep a clean house and I'll clean it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be just fine. It'll be just as good.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Will it? We don't know. We really don't know until the time comes. And then sometimes it's too late. And then I'm scrambling to hire my own cleaning lady to shoot them over there to,
Yep.
arrest the situation.
Yep.
But so I normally walk in on a listing appointment and I make a mental note. What does the house look like?
Mm-hmm.
And then I know, do I need to hire someone at the end of this, or are they going to be good? Because then if they volunteer to do it, then I got to go to bat for my sellers. So if I have the listing, if I have the listing and then the buyers are saying they want it professionally cleaned, and then I'll say, well, it will be cleaned in a professional manner,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not by a professional with an invoice.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have no dust bunnies, no debris. It will be swept clean or better, all surface clean, probably with, a rag. All countertops, floors will be swept, mopped, vacuumed, and wiped. And if they can do that, then great. But it's just, that's the rub I get sometimes. Like, well, no, we want it. My buyers want it professionally clean. Sorry. Like, are you going to be able to tell the difference?
Yep. That's a great point. Great point, Chad. Absolutely great point. And you're right. The smartest thing about that is you said when you go into a listing appointment, you take a look at the house and see what it looks like, because that's their version of clean. Right? They're inviting you over. And I promise you, before you got there, they want their house to look as good as they can get it look, because they want the most money for it, and they cleaned it. That's their version of
And if they didn't, then it tells you something too. Well, it's a mess right now, Chad. I'm sorry, but we'll get it cleaned up. Don't you worry. We're going to bust our butts.
No, they won't.
And I'm thinking, okay, but at the end of this, 6 weeks, 2 months later, you've been boxing up, you've been packing up, you've been carrying things in the garage, you've been working an extra part-time job on top of everything else, moving out of your own home. You're tired and frustrated and miserable, and you're going to hate me at some point. So how you're going to clean is going to be how it is when you see it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, you guys ready for the granddaddy? I want everybody's answer on this. Okay? Everybody's answer. There is a house, and it is listed for $535,000. You show the house. You write an offer. Your offer is for $510,000. $425,000. The house has been on the market for 1 day. Okay. 535 list price. Your offer is 525. You get a counter for $435,000 with an email from the agent that says, at this point in time, we're not willing to accept a discount. We've only been on market for a day. The counter offers for $435,000. It's fully executed by the seller, and it's in your email box. You guys all picking up on what happened, right? They pressed the wrong button. They were in a hurry, right? They pressed the wrong button. They
Oh, I
countered
thought you
you.
were saying it wrong. I was like,
No, they pressed the wrong button. They biffed it when they wrote the counter, and nobody caught it, and they sent it back to you fully executed by the seller. What do you do?
Sign it.
Jessica says sign it.
Just kidding.
sign it and hold them to it. All right. You pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and ask if it's a typo and if they meant to send that. And normally they say, oh, crap, let me correct that really quick.
Okay. Chad says call the agent, pick up the phone, call the agent, see if they made a typo. They're going to be grateful that you called. They're going to write you a new one. They're going to send you a new one. Okay, good. Michael, what's your answer?
Yeah, for sure for sure there's some things wrong. I never make mistakes. So if somebody else makes a mistake, I'm gonna be sure to beat them over the head with it. So I'm just kidding. So I make mistakes too, but I would like it if somebody did that for me. But I don't know.
Okay. iPhone Joni, what do you think? Joni's not going to answer. She's like, I don't want to play anymore.
No, I had background noise, so I had muted myself and then I couldn't get back to the screen. And it gave me time to think. No, you call the agent and discuss it with them and let them know that it looked like an error. I agree with all of that.
Okay. Let me challenge you guys a little bit. Who is your fiduciary duty to?
Your client.
The client. All right. You have an opportunity to save your client $100,000. Does that change your answer? You have no
No.
duty. You have no duty to the other agent.
To inform your client, this is what I got. I think I would tell them it's an error though.
Okay. So Michael's changing his answer a little bit. He says, call the client, get with the client, tell him, hey, look, we got this counter. I countered us for $435,000. It's $100,000 in the list price. I'm confident that's an error. But here it is. What do you want to do? Right? You know what the client's going to say? The same thing Jessica said. Sign it.
Not a good way to start a transaction. If you overall want to produce a good experience that's honest with your clients, you want to build that with the listing agent too.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go horribly for the listing agent when you sign it and return it. I think, yeah, we can all agree on that. But I guess my question is, let's go with Michael's scenario. If Michael does it the way that he should, which I would do, and the client says, hell, we're signing it, because I know some clients that would do it, right? We're putting it under contract, we're signing it. Because in California, once they sign it and once you deliver it to the listing agent fully executed, it's done. It's under contract. Let me complicate it for you further. In California, once it's under contract, the seller can't cancel without a breach. That means that if the buyer returns it, executed and delivers it, and it goes under contract, and then the buyer doesn't breach the agreement, they keep with all the timelines and all of the responsibilities that they have to do, it's closing.
Karma will produce a breach.
Karma will produce a breach. Any other thoughts on that before I give you my thought and the real life situation and how it played out?
I don't think I could sleep at night if I did that.
Hmm.
I just couldn't sleep at night knowing that all of that had gone on and that listing agent is, I don't, not sleeping at night either.
No, they're definitely not sleeping at night, Johnny. No,
No. I mean,
no.
if I was the listing agent, I'd be afraid of legal proceedings against me after it.
Okay, I'm going to give you my honest answer of how I would handle it. And I thought about this a lot after this situation got brought to me. Honest answer, how I would handle it is I would go to my client and I would say, I have this. I know that it's wrong. Okay. It is my duty to you to inform you how contracts work and what could happen if you sign this. But I don't suggest you do that because if you do that, it's going to go poorly and we're all going to end up in a courtroom somewhere. I promise you that. So,
Hmm.
with your
Right.
permission, what I would like to do is I would like to go back to the listing agent and make sure that we have the correct counter before we proceed. All
Yep.
right. I've met my duty to my client. I've kept my fiduciary responsibility by explaining to them, you could sign this and it could go this way, but it's probably going to be a problem. All right. And I've asked their permission to let me clarify it with the listing agent. Okay. Let me tell you where this came from.
Oh yeah.
One of our biggest offices in the company is in Montrose, Colorado. Okay. The broker, who's one of the top producing brokers in the company, also happens to have a law degree. All right. He represented the buyer in a situation just like this. Okay. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like the scenario that we described. They signed it and sent it back to the listing agent and called it delivered. It was under contract. All right. But they didn't hold him to it. So he used it as leverage and saying, hey, look, we're under contract, but I'll tell you what, nobody wants to take advantage of you like that. What we really want is to have our first number accepted. At that point in time, and I'm pretty sure it came out of the listing agent's commission, or at least part of it, the sellers were overjoyed to sell their house for $10,000 under list price, right? Do I agree with that? No, not really. Okay. But everybody's different. And I don't mind saying that I'm glad that you guys had a different answer that was more cooperative and a little bit more respectful of our fellow agents. We're at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing. I'm also a little glad and a little encouraged that Jessica said sign it so quickly. Tells me she's got the instinct. I like that. She was going to use it as leverage. Yes, she was. Okay, I like that. And
I would say
that's
I
it.
changed my answer now. I'm going to do that.
I mean, it's a hell of a move, don't you think? I mean, the guy's a
Yeah, I think it goes to like the previous question too, but knowing that like I would do it, I would have an honest conversation because like several of us said, I would want them to do it if the shoe was on the other foot
sure,
and I had a OSH moment,
sure.
Um, but that being said, I would also be going back to my clients because every opportunity that I can, I am selling myself to my clients, saying, "Hey, let me tell you a story." And I tell them what I caught
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
now you're showing your level of expertise.
Sure. And you're also showing your level of honesty by
and your integrity.
And
And
your integrity.
yes, for
Mhm.
me, and that's what I want to be on brand with. And so I definitely would tell them. And it gives you leverage later on. I wouldn't have done that, but I like that answer better. But I would have held it in my pocket for like later on during the repairs and stuff, saying, "Hey, remember when we would have had $100,000 off?
I'm
I'm
only
only
asking for
ask
20.
I'm only asking for 10 grand here."
Mhm.
So, yeah.
The the other thing for us to consider is that, and I say this all the time, but real estate is hyper local, right? Like what works in one market doesn't work in another market. Now, I don't know much about Montrose, Colorado. In fact, I don't know anything about Montrose, Colorado. But what I do know is most of us work in Placer County or Sacramento County, and both of those areas still operate very much like a small town, right? Like our community of agents is pretty small, even though there's 6,000 of them. There's 4,000 of them that no one will ever meet, and the other 2,000 all know each other. If you pull something like that, it is not going to take very long for that to get around every PCAR meeting, every SAR meeting, every social media outlet in existence. It is not going to take long. And I don't think that's a good look. Not if you ever want to, successfully transact real estate when there's another agent involved. That would be a critical mistake on your part. You might get that deal closed, and that client might love you forever, but after that, your credibility in the marketplace is shot, like it's gone.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. It's 4:02. I kept you guys long with what would you do? Any questions, comments, thoughts on anything that we discussed? Any scenarios you want to play for the group? I had some doozies, but I won't go into it. We'll save that for another meeting. This was a very, very interesting listing. Uh, very interesting listing. Yeah. Okay. Everybody's good. Thumbs up. I'm going to click the button. I will see you guys later. You know where to find me if you need me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a good day.